Hey yo, what it is? It's your boy Jugs Diamonds, and right now you're fucking with DJ Quan and the Mixtape Show. You see that shit right here? You see that? You see that? You understand that shit? Respect this shit. Brooklyn, Dallas, you already Texas, the whole world. Respect this shit right here. Back block gang, bitch. Aye.
All right. Thank you. All
Good to see
right.
that.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on the Mixtape Show. It is time for the Artist of the Week interview. And this week's Artist of the Week, man, usually we have a lot of really dope independent artists, MCs who come in. We have dope producers who come in. But I believe this is probably one of the few times we had somebody of this next guest caliber here on the show. Just to run down a little bit. As an artist, man, you know, you record your music, you get your beat from your producer, but at the end of the game, you got to get it mixed and mastered, and you got to have that person, I say, that has a secret sauce that can add a little flavor to the track. That's kind of your audio engineer, you know what I'm saying? So I guess this week, and we'll get into the resume soon, but he has sat in some of the most legendary sessions, worked with some of the most legendary artists in the game, and we'll get into that. But he goes by the name of Mr. Ken Johnston, joining us here on the Mixtape Show. And thank you for joining us this week on the show, sir. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Not a problem. Not a problem. And I throw some of these names out here. I'm 45, so a lot of these artists, these were people that I grew up when they were kind of coming in the game, and they were kind of in the middle of their prime, as you would say, in their careers. And I was buying them the CDs and stuff. So 3LW, Next. Jaheim, Naughty by Nature, Queen Latifah. You sat in the legendary Miseducation of Lauryn Hill on that project and got a Grammy for that. Got platinum plaques that we're going to talk about. And the names are just so long that what I'm going to have to do on the videos, I'm going to have to just have a running list so people can see your resume. Pretty impressive, brother. Over 40 years in the game and still going strong and still teaching the next generation of what you do with Pro Tools and stuff. Congratulations on that, sir. First of all, for still being in the game and being active.
Thank you.
How did we get here? How did we start it? How did Ken Johnston get into this? And how did Ken Johnston? When did you know you had that ear? Because that engineer's ear is very different from an artist's ear, is different from a DJ's ear. So when did you know you had like a ear or that talent, or when did it click for you to kind of get started to begin your journey?
Well, just to make the story short, I started out like from New Jersey. So I started out playing. My brothers were instrumentalists, so I played trombone and studied up through school and all that stuff. And one of my bandmates was Stevie Washington, but and I'll tell you about him in a second. But yeah, so I played trombone, played in a lot of bands and so forth and so on. And then Stevie started a band called Slave, and I did an album with them, and I toured with them for an album. But while making the album, Just a Touch of Love album, we recorded up in New Jersey, studio in West Orange. It's no longer there, but Kool and the Gang was there. They did all that a lot of big hits there, and Ladies Night and all that stuff. Right, we were both recording at the same time. But that's where I fell in love with it, you know. We had the most unique bass player, I think, on the planet at that time. And these guys were like 19 years old. We was all like 19, you know, late 70s. So I remember the neighbor calling the studio on there and saying, man, my windows are shaking over here. What are y'all doing? You know? I don't know if you ever heard Slave stuff, but the bass player's name was Mark Adams, and we had earthquakes and everything, and he was playing through like some serious, like a three-way system, and they were recording that. Like back then, you record bass on one track. He was using 5 tracks to record the bass, you know, a sub, a medium, and a high, and like a stereo rum mix. So, man, it was something else, you know. Guitar players had 6 Marshall amps. It was just crazy, you know. We had 14 horns, and but the sound was just huge. So from that point on, I just fell in love with sound, and I just chased it and chased it and chased it and chased it. I'm still chasing sound, you know. But yeah. So then life went on, you know, and I went to school in New York City. The first school that had multiple desks, like kind of what I'm doing today. Like everybody got their own workstation.
Mm-hmm.
The first school to ever do something like that, so that was cool. And then I went and I was walking down. I was in New York City. I was walking down Times Square, and I saw a friend of mine. He said, "Man, you should go check out Unique. They doing all these black projects, but they don't have any black engineers."
Mm.
I said, "Cool." So I went there and I got hired, you know. And they did everybody in their mama. So I started out making cassette copies for people, which is crazy. Like you didn't have no MP3s or nothing.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to make a copy of a song, you say make 10 cassettes,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. If you want to make copy reels, yeah, I would do that. Then I got the editing, so I was a tape editor, and I was good at that. And then I just started engineering that all around the tri-state, So then, I went to, it was cool, man. I went to California, came back here, and then eventually put out a record, dance record, with my ex-wife, and that went #1 for 3 weeks in a row. And then I ended up doing a dance label and just having fun that way and stuff. And then I saw a studio was for sale, so I bought it, and I revamped the whole thing. And it ended up being like the largest studio in that area. So recorded everybody, so that was real cool. But I was the first studio to have Pro Tools, first audio studio to have a Pro Tools rig. That's when it first came out, and you get the big rig. The first person to have that, only other people had it was in New York City. They were doing voiceovers and stuff like that. But so that was cool. So a lot of people came in, did mad albums there. Some came out called Auto Tune, and that I was the first engineer to use that on an artist, 3LW Auto Tune. And then so it was cool. So I got the Grammy there, multi-platinum albums, recorded everybody there. Ended up moving to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to here in Vegas.
Nice, man. June is, I recognize June as, obviously to me, it's always been Black Music Month, right? I know here recently they've added things to it that I don't agree with, but to me, June has always been Black Music Month. And I'm sitting here listening to your stories and just looking at your resume, and I'm like, man, this brother right here, we need to know more about you in that for Black Music Month. Just because you've been ahead of the curve, you know what I'm saying, with like I said, with the studio and building what you've built and the people that you work with, and Pro Tools it's the industry standard, right? And you was on the front end of that, and Auto Tune. And you, like you said, I'm still chasing sound. So that means you're still out there trying to find the new, whatever that new is, you know what I mean? And, and I'm still an analog guy. Like when I do my show, I got my turntables. I still got my 1200s here when I do my show.
Nice, man.
I still collect vinyl. I still collect cassettes. I got
and some of your productions, I hear that.
Yeah.
It sounds so authentic.
Yeah. I still got my cassettes here. I got a Technics tape player right here. So I'm still analog. And I embrace, the digital stuff and all of that too. But
back then we used to, speaking of cassette, you used to record something to a cassette, go from that cassette to another cassette, and then go back to another cassette, and then sample it.
Yeah. I still,
especially with the hi-hats. Some hi-hats used to be dirty as I don't know what.
Yeah, and I'm into that. I'm into that crusty, dusty kind of sound to it.
Right.
I still sample some of my stuff through that and all of that to get those sounds. And
what sampler you use?
I use the Live 2, the MPC Live 2 is what I use.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I used to have the big joint, but we moved around so much that it got heavy. and I'm teaching my son. I got a 10-year-old son who's into the music too, so I teach him, and he kind of loves the MPC 2 with the digital interface with the touch screen and all of that. So he's teaching me things. I'm teaching him things on it.
But you got it sounding authentic, man. I thought you need the SP1200 or a
no, not yet. I'm still trying to find one. I actually want to find one.
ASR 10 or something. I said, man, you got to sound really like.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. But it's not about me, man. We'll talk about me later off air. But so the Miseducation Lauryn Hill, and I want to jump straight into that because that's one of the biggest records ever, right? That's up there with, to me, like Illmatic. That's one of my favorite albums that ever came out.
It actually got the Apple Music, the #1 album of all time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's crazy,
That's
right? To
crazy,
be a
right?
part of that. That's over the Beatles, that's over Michael Jackson, that's
Yeah.
over, you name it, the #1 album of
All
all
time.
time
Like that
history.
that sound of
That's
that
crazy.
album, it crossed over so many different generations at the time when it dropped. And
Right.
even now, like you can still pass it down and people listen to it because it touched so many people and cultures with the production and the way that thing was put together that when you were in the middle of that, right? Did you feel that as this was being recorded and did you feel that as it was going on while you were
I
in the
was
middle
always a
process?
fan of hers, man. Back when she did Sister Act, and
Mm-hmm.
then she did cause she was from our area, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, whoa, this girl is talented, And then she did the Fugees, that was even crazier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I felt that it was gonna be a crazy good project, and not knowing it would be on this level, but
Yeah.
I felt that, man, it was crazy.
And
She's amazing.
how did you get brought into the project? How did somebody give
Friends of
Ken a call and
mine,
say, "Come on in and let's work on this together"?
they was recording in New York, and she didn't know about my studio.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to record in my studio, and they brought us through. And she was like, "Yes, I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
Right up the street from her. So yeah, so that's how I got involved in it.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people I know because now people record from home and stuff. But for those artists and people who may not be familiar with that, finding a studio home is so important, right? Because that's your home away from home. That's where you can be your creative freedom, where you don't have to worry about the outside distractions. How important was that for you to build these environments for artists to come in, feel comfortable, feel like they're at home, to be as free as they
Man,
want to be?
I was in the straight hood, man. So I had every type of person coming through there, so they all felt like it's like church,
Mm-hmm.
that was their way out of all of this stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
man, it was wonderful, man. They all had respect. I mean, we talking about some hard cats, man. They would clean up after the session. It was just beautiful, man. They would pick their stuff up. They wouldn't litter. It's like, it was really cool, man. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, so it really touched them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then when you've been an engineer, so like when you're engineering with somebody, you basically it is recording a lot, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's just picking each other's brains.
Absolutely.
You're sitting there just talking to somebody about life, and because you're in there for like 20 hours, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're in there talking about life and this and that. So yeah, I was real cool with everybody, man.
Yeah,
Real cool with everybody. I
yeah.
actually could leave. I could actually walk away and leave my studio door open, and I had a $500,000 worth of equipment in there, and nobody would go in there and touch anything. So
That's
it
perfect.
was
Hey,
cool.
like you said, like just like
Yeah,
walking to the church, you respect the building and respect the
right.
people and all of
Hmm.
that.
Right.
Do you have any standout sessions where um after you got done with that session it was just like, whoa, I didn't, the energy or something that stuck with you to this day where you're like, man, I don't believe this artist had that in them kind of thing.
Yeah, man, I did so many artists,
Uh-huh.
man. Yeah, I did everybody who was hot from that area. So yeah, man, it was just a good feeling, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jaheim, oh my God, his stuff was whoa.
Mm.
He was like a Thug Luther,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
man, his sound was crazy,
He definitely gave off
Jaheim,
and he gave off the Teddy Pendergrass vibes too. That's what I remember
right,
when I
right,
first because my dad, that's why I got
right,
my vinyl love for. Is my dad always had the
right,
45s and the
right.
vinyls, and when I first heard Jaheim, I was like,
Hmm.
did they got some unreleased Teddy Pendergrass music I don't know
I know, right?
about?
But the lyrics they used was kind of street, so you had that sound
Uh
of
huh.
Eddie and Luther, but it was on some street lyric stuff, so it was cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then the people that were working with him was in Backstreet. They was doing his vocals and stuff, and
Hmm.
so they was cool to meet them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's a
That's
lot of cool people
you
coming
don't notice
through.
that either. That's I forgot about that piece too because a lot of artists before they blow up, they do a lot of background work, right? Like I grew up in Far Rockaway, so Father MC was kind of like our local, oh we made it kind of artist, but he ushered in Mary J and Jodeci
Right.
before they blew up, and then it's kind of like when you go back and listen to those records, you're like, oh wow. I forgot about Mary J was doing background or Casey and JoJo was doing
Right.
background for that type stuff.
Right.
So you've seen a lot of them before they kind of, like you said, they was just doing background. So they
Oh,
was doing
yeah.
some,
Mhm.
so you got to see those artists, man. That's just
Definitely, man.
absolutely, absolutely, man. So, we out in Vegas now.
Imagine staying 3LW or Next, or
Absolutely.
Jaheim, all three of them.
Absolutely.
I did all of their first albums.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then after that, they got so big they ended up in New York, LA or something. But
Hmm.
but yeah, all of them, I'm not gonna say nobodies, but they was not known.
Yeah. Yeah.
All them records, you know.
And Jersey has a lot of talent. Jersey gets slept on a lot. Shout out to my people from Jersey that I know, Karev out there, Heritage Hip Hop platform. My sister MJ Savino. And that Naughty by Nature, that whole Queen Latifah Naughty by Nature, the Flavor Unit. I remember that's what they was called back in the day.
Right.
Like people don't give KG his credit for the talent that he ushered in.
Oh my God, that's how I got all that. I got everything through him, man. Yeah. You know, so yeah.
He's ushered in so much talent, and his production was always dope, and people just don't really give him that credit as far as producer. Right. None of that stuff, man.
Right. He did so much, man. Yeah. Koffee Brown,
absolutely.
Oh, that was crazy. Zhane.
Yeah. So the list is long, and on top of just the Naughty by Nature stuff, right?
Right.
It's just crazy. Pro Tools, man. I know Pro Tools, and we're gonna get a little industry, a little behind the scenes, and a little nerdish. Pro Tools is what we call the industry standard for people to record, do your mixing and master, and that's kind of the thing, right? You said you were on the front end of that, and I know you said you were teaching that as well out there in Vegas. The importance of recording on the right, because this is why I like to give jewels to the artist, and like somebody like yourself, I would love to pick your brain on that, man. The importance of having, you don't have to have the top of the line equipment, right? But you got to have the right equipment. So if you would to give a quick little, here's your, hey, Ken, here's my budget. I just need to record from the house, something that I can send off to my engineer to do the mixing and mastering after the fact. What would you suggest for artists to get? They was just kind of getting started out. If they can't afford to go to the studio, or they say, you know what, I'd rather just be at the house because I got a wife and kids and I can't always be out. What would you suggest they would get to?
Man, it's such a good time to be in the studio recording for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can, for little or no money, man, you could definitely put up a serious little rig, and you can actually make good records off it. You can record on it, mix and everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you wanted like an SSL, you got those plugins, so you got an SSL board. If you want to, whatever type board, any type of board to try it in, a Neve board, whatever you want, they're all plugins. So you just put it across all your channels, and now you're actually recording and mixing through that console. So it's pretty cool, you know? So, or you get yourself a laptop, just make sure you got a bunch of memory, and you got some SSD drives and a lot of, and some much RAM as you can get. And as fast as you can get, and
you're off to the races.
Once you get that,
and you off to the races after that, right?
Right. Oh yeah, man. You can get an SSL interface for $200. You know, that's crazy. SSL interface for $200.
Yeah,
man. So you get that, and as far as microphones, I mean, $100 microphones sound really good right now. You know.
Yeah.
You can get you a $500 microphone, a $100 microphone. You can get you a Model-in microphone. So that's what I use. I use a microphone that sounds like any microphone I want it to sound like, you know. So that works for me. But yeah, so it's so easy to get such a nice sound, man.
And do you currently still record artists in the studio right now currently?
Not really. I basically do mixing.
Just mixing, that's okay. All right. Do you miss being in the studio with artists? Is that something you miss?
Not really. I'm good. It's so many hours, man. That was my thing. I was a recording. You got a mix engineer. You got a recording engineer. I was basically a recording engineer. So, which can actually be more important than the mix engineer because you got to lay it down right. You know. So it's just hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and more hours in the studio, you know, just a lot of time.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not like that nowadays because you don't have to, you know, you got basically a disc and you put it into your computer and it recalls everything, you know, but back then you had to manually set everything, you know, so it took hours to get everything done. You know?
He was cutting tape and all that stuff, right?
All that, everything. Yeah, man. Think about that. That's crazy, man.
But it's funny because that's the sounds people want now, right? That's the things that they want to go back to, and totally. They pay.
And you can do that with digital. You can definitely do that.
Absolutely. It's just funny that they go back to that. I'm like, man, I got that at the house. Come on over. I can charge you a little something for that. You know, you want that cassette sound here? Plug into my thing, and we got you. Absolutely.
Think about that. You know, you spend like $3,000 on the setup. How long would it take you to recover that at like 25 or $50 an hour? Not long at all.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And then you say, man, I'm tired of this. You sell it for 50% of its value. So it's like it's not a bad thing to get into. You know, so I tell people it's a really good career.
Yeah. I always say that too. It's always good for me. I love being behind the scenes. Like I've never,
Right.
I love being, you know, making the beats in the back end. I love the DJing part, like doing my radio show and all that. But I like to always make it about the artist. But to me, it's just more fun to kind of be on the back end and help give the knowledge. Right. That's why I work with the people I work with, like my guy Ra. I met him over a year ago. And when I heard him, I was like, he's pretty dope. You know what I mean? And after just kind of having conversations with him, I was like, okay, he's kind of green in some of these areas. He got some blind spots here. Let me help catch him up to speed on that part, and let's just work together. And we just been working, making out some magic. And that to me, that's my payoff. It's always been the payoff of.
He fits so perfect on the type of music you making.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. I got to look out for him, and I want to help him reach his goals as best as I can. And like I said, once he introduced me to you and all that, I was just like, man, it's just. To me, this is the universe giving back, right? You meeting some really dope people and you networking and building, and I'm watching him grow and become more confident in the business side and all that. And I was like, man, you going I told him this next project, you quarterbacking this one, I'm done. You know, so I'm just gonna be in the background. I'm gonna help you out. You got the next one.
Yeah, going to the next step.
Absolutely. Out of all your projects that you worked on, which one was your first platinum? What was the first platinum plaque you received?
Gold
Okay.
was oh man, it was for a movie. Lord, man.
I mean, put you on the spot. Sorry about that.
Nah, just my mind. I'm getting old, man. My mind went blank. My first goal was for a movie. It was for I'll think of it.
Okay. So how about this? Take me to that feeling when
With
you got
Xscape. Xscape did a record on it.
Okay.
They did a remake. I Want to Go Outside in the Rain, and I recorded that.
Oh, okay. How did you, when you got that plaque or you got that recognition, what was that feeling for you like at that point?
That's the best. It was a great feeling, you know. Great. Great.
Did you have any work on the New Jersey Drive soundtrack? Because that's one of my favorite soundtracks. You didn't work on that one? Why they didn't call? They got to call Ken on that one, right?
Yeah, right. I think that's maybe 4. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite soundtracks, and I know Latifah was on there too. So I thought maybe the 2 and 2 equals 4 in that.
Maybe
one.
I gotta check the credits. Maybe I haven't working on that.
I hear that. So as an engineer, like you say, you do the mix and master stuff. If I'm an artist out there and I want you to work on my stuff, tell the people here, this is what you need to send your engineer, so things can be as seamless as possible, so there's not a lot of back and forth. There's no hiccups in that process. What's your record? What's your requisites of, if you want me to work on this, I need you to do A, B, and C?
Oh, man, it got to be recorded clean. It got to be flat, you know, so I can put my stuff on it, you know. If there's a certain sound you're going for, then of course, have that. Maybe you want like a telephone sound that does this and does that. Yeah, I don't need to spend 8 hours trying to recreate that. So, you know, definitely. And if you have auto tune, keep auto tune on it. That's the only effect that I want you to keep is auto tune. Because you know it's hard to recreate auto tune. I don't know. You ever had to try to do that?
Yes, and I'm not a fan of it, so I'll leave it alone.
That's what I'm saying. So keep your auto tune, but make sure your levels is right. Make sure everything is named. Make sure, you know, if I'm getting a session, then I make sure everything's color coded, you know, and you know, just make sure everything's done, you know, so that when I see it, I can say, wow, this cat knows what he's doing.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know what that'd do for you? That'd get you work.
Absolutely.
Once you send a few projects and the projects are perfectly recorded, and you got somebody, you know, that's looking for that in whatever area you're in, you're gonna send them straight to you. That'll get you work.
Absolutely.
Your work speaks for itself all the time.
That's why I tell people, just don't worry about whatever you worry about. Don't worry about that. Worry about building the catalog, build a resume, and it's gonna come on the back end. That's what I tell people all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And it will.
Yeah.
There's no way it's not going to. You just gotta be ready when it comes, but it will come.
Absolutely.
You will get your shot.
Yeah.
Go get your shot.
Enjoy the process, right? We got to enjoy the process more.
And don't quit the day before you get your shot, you know?
No, my wife would definitely not approve that, you know. And
Oh, man.
and you know, I'm at the age now where I'm not chasing that dream, you know. I mean, if it comes, it comes, and then we can work around it. I'm fine. So I'm cool on that, and I just like the process of helping out. So, but hey, I could be a weekend warrior and hit the road every once in a while and do some work. You know? I don't have a problem for that, you know.
You're doing it for the love.
Yeah, for the love. Yeah, I can spin some records maybe, or I can go work in the studio session and bang out some beats out there live, because that's my process too. Is I love to do everything from scratch. I don't just sit in the room. I don't like sitting in the room just making beats. I like to, like you said, with that artist, and we talk first. What do we want this to sound like? What do you want the overall theme to be? Let me make a couple beats to get started, and that's what you like, then I can knock out 9 or 10 more, and then we can go from there, kind of thing. So that's how I operate. I'm kind of old school in that approach, man. It's like we may not be in the studio together, but let's act like we are. Let's build from scratch, from the scratch up. Let's not have pre-written lyrics for this. Let's do everything from the ground up so it can be cohesive. You know what I mean? And go from there. Brother, man, I definitely appreciate you being here, and I, like I said, I know you're busy, man, so I definitely appreciate your time, and I think somebody like yourself who your resume is crazy, and like I said, if an artist doesn't listen to somebody like you for advice, then they shouldn't be here. They need to go somewhere else and just go make records for their homies. You know what I mean? And I know you use your platform as well. I know you use your TikTok to kind of listen to records and kind of give some feedback to the artists. Go and tell the people about that real quick, as far as what that is and how they can get on there and the process for that.
Yeah, I have free music reviews on TikTok, but you know it's kind of a different twist because I'm doing it from a sound standpoint and production standpoint. So you could just upload your song to my page and to my live, and then I review it for you for free. But you're getting I give you everything. So it could be the littlest thing. I'm like, the hi-hat was too loud, you know, whatever. It could be the littlest thing, you know, or open your vocal sound up, or, you know, do this, and this is how you do that. So I'm gonna try to be very, very, very good at telling them exactly what they need to, you know. Of course, mixing is subjective, but, you know, to get a certain type of mix, you know, you have to have certain things in there. So
but we need that though, right? It's just more to just record the record and sending it out. Like, you need it to sound a certain way to really catch people's attention. So I always say, like I said, the engineers are the unsung heroes. They always say, you know, because it's always going to be the MC first or the artist first, then maybe the producer after that. You know what I mean? They'll get their credit, but everybody forgets about the people who really chef it up in the background and put that sound together and make it sound as great as they do. You know, everybody gives everybody else the credit, but we don't give our engineers credit like we do. Like me, I got my guy Jaheim, who's out of Philly. He does some of my work, and I'm always putting him on everything. Here's your credits. Here's your tone. Hey, you want a piece of this production credit because you're part of the production team. You know, I feel like we all produce a song together in some way, shape, or form. So for you to, you know, you'd spend the time to work on our records, and I got to give you a little piece of that because you are part of the production team as far as that. You know, so that's just how I believe. I believe we work. Everybody has equal work here, and we all are a part of this, and let's do this together. So, you know, I appreciate people like yourself, like I said, 40 years in the game, still looking for that, still chasing that sound, right? Still chasing.
What I wake up for.
It kind of reminds me of a DJ Quick. How I know he said he just loves looking for new sounds and how he does it, and it's just, you guys are in a different realm when it comes to what you hear compared to what I may hear, and it's always interesting to pick y'all's brains to see what you look for.
Cool, man.
And I know another guy who does what you do. He tells me when I listen to music, I listen sonically, and it made sense to me when he said that. I was like, oh, okay, because when I'm listening to music as a DJ, I'm listening as a DJ. Like, is this dope? Is this a dope finished product? But when I'm making beats, I'm making it to see that these little pieces fit together and it doesn't have nuance in it that people may be able to catch here and there. So it's kind of like you got to turn certain things off and turn certain things on. So when he says I listen sonically, I was like, I know what you mean by that. Like, does it have that balance to your ears, you know? So definitely.
I don't even hear the lyrics. I listen to everything else, you know.
Okay.
I can't tell you a lyric to save my life, you know, but I can tell you everything else about the record.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Nice.
So yes, you definitely listen sonically. Your ear changes. Whereas the average person probably listens to the lyrics first, you know. And that's what they're singing in the melody. They don't know they're listening to the melody, but they listen to the melody and the lyrics, and they're singing the lyrics. You know, I'm listening for everything else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got your real quick your record. I know you got your record label. I know you said you're doing your house music. Onto that, let's talk about that real quick. What's the name of the label, and you know how can people get caught up on that?
It's 488 Records. Number is 488. 488 Records.
Mm-hmm.
I do a bunch of records with producers and stuff, doing deep house out of South Africa and piano.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah.
And house music is that's the backbone of the black community, right?
Right.
House music is
our age is like
yeah.
your age on up.
Yeah,
you know?
house music is
Love some house music,
man. It's to me it's another foundational sound for a lot of things. Like to me, house music is the foundation of the New Orleans bounce. You know, because they have a lot of those elements in it. We know
right.
go and houses kind of go hand in hand with each other a little bit too.
Right.
And you know, just that bounce, you know, it just has that nice little bounce to it. It's the swing to it that I love about house music. And
right.
when I go home to visit New York every week, man, when I go visit my family in New York, my aunt, every Saturday morning she turns on our house music tapes and we just have a good old time. And that always reminds me of being back home.
Cool,
so.
That's cool.
Definitely. Well, sir, like I said, anything you guys got, you can send our way. We'll help promote it for you guys. If you got music you want to send our way on the show and the radio station, send it to me. I'll upload it to the station. We'll play. You know, I'll talk to you off here about some other stuff I was interested in, and definitely want to help you use your platform in the positive. So I'll put all the messages on where they can go, social media to catch up on with you and everything like that. And thank you for what you're doing, man. It's definitely
thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
man.
And it's very cool that you still reach out to the people who may not be, who have platinum plaques and who have won Grammys. Because once people who are in that realm, they kind of distance themselves from the indie. But the fact that you still reach out and you still give advice and stuff like that is pretty dope, and I can appreciate that.
Cool, man.
All right.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the love, man.
Not a problem. Hold on just a second, sir. We got Ken Johnston joining us. You guys check out everything he's done. I'm going to put his little bio at the end of this video so you can see some of the work, and I'll play a couple of the records that he's helping engineered, and we will be right back.